Is Senator McCarthy.
Thank you, Hillock, and thank you, Minister, for being here. It's good to have you, and you're very welcome. Today, I want to, we've talked about education, higher education, but I want to just talk about the human aspect of it, about lives that have been absolutely transformed and challenged, but certainly shaped through higher education in our country. And I believe strongly that our universities are much more than lecture halls and libraries, and certainly they are places where ambition meets access, or where the next generation of Irish citizens are formed. Even for me sitting here, I was elected by the graduates of Trinity College, and Trinity College itself is a cornerstone of intellectual life, and it's a symbol of what can be achieved when education is allowed to flourish. And Trinity has produced leaders in science, or business and politics, and last week I was there with yourself to launch the strategic review, and you were there, and I was just sitting in the big hall, and the exam hall, and I was looking. You were the undergraduate, then you did your postgraduate, and now you're the Minister for Higher Education in the very hall that you no doubt were nervous doing your exams in the first place. But it just shows the potential, and it shows what entities, institutions like Trinity College can do and can turn. So through an outreach programme called a Trinity Access Programme, of which I'm very familiar with through my homeless work, its commitment to inclusion and its work to not only diversify the student body, but I believe it opens doors for younger people for education, and no matter what their background, no matter what their bank balance is, their lives can change. And I think that's the kind of Ireland we need to focus on, where a child from a disadvantaged community has the same equality, the same chance to succeed as a child of privilege. And that education, I know it remains one of the biggest divides in our society. But I will say, I'll give you an example, Minister, you met them yourself, two guys that arrived to my homeless work a number of years ago. They arrived at the Lighthouse looking for help, and they had no education. They had no level of education. So we got them into college in Dublin to do a level 5. Unfortunately, they were living rough, so they were studying in McDonald's, and they both failed the level 5. So they had to repeat the whole year. I asked with their permission, could I ring their lecturer, and they allowed me. When I rang the lecturer, I said, listen, these people are living in adverse circumstances. Is it possible that we can allow them repeat the module rather than the full year? Because I knew if they're repeating the year, you've lost them. She said if they can't stand the heat, they should not be in the kitchen. So I went on LinkedIn and I found a guy, Dr. Joe Collins from Southeast Technological University, and I told him the story. And I said, these guys can kick the ball out of the park if they're given the opportunity. So he put a challenge to me. He said, I will back their education. I'll give them a chance if you can try and get them accommodation. I did my part. We got them accommodation. The two guys, they went and they did their degree, they did their master's degree, they did their second master's degree, and they were awarded an Academic Excellence Award by the previous Minister for Education. So what it did show me is the opportunity in education can transform lives. One of those guys recently bought a house. I mean, nobody can afford houses anymore. This guy did, and it just showed that education has transformed his life. So what I say is that's the power of education, that's the power of belief, but it's also the power of the other supports that are necessary. And my colleagues here mentioned about even rent for students, supported grants. It's impossible in Dublin to get accommodation as a worker, never mind as a student. So we're pricing people out of education, not through education itself alone, but through the likes of supported housing initiatives. And I think even if you look at the funding for future report, it's highlighting a serious shortfall in core funding, even for our institutions. So we need to look at that, but we need to look at supporting the individuals. And I think that's the true measure of where education can make a difference in lives changed, and not just in numbers published. And I know at the Trinity event, the Provost was saying the huge shortfall in their own funding. So in order for institutions to be supported to take in students from disadvantaged backgrounds, we need to focus on that. We have amazing institutions in Ireland, whether that's UCG, UCL, DCU, all the way along. They should be places where young people that I've mentioned should not only dream of education, but where they can absolutely take advantage of it. So, Minister, I'm confident that you have a vision, and I'm confident you'll bring it to pass. Education is one of the greatest equalisers, and we need the barriers for people that have been in generations of poverty to be lifted, and we need to make sure it continues. And I want to thank you for your support in what we're doing in the homeless community. Grev Mahagat.